Good morning, gang. Happy Thursday morning. Okay, well, the weather's warming up, finally. Okay, we actually made it 79 here yesterday. So the season for baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and riots is about to start. Yes, are you ready for the Summer of Love 2.0? It's my question. It seems to me that liberals, leftists, progressives, Democrats, whatever you want to call them, communists, socialists, fascists, pick one, they all apply to Democrats, are really pulling out all the stops because they have no policy ideas that are any good. So the only thing they can hitch their wagon to is, let's see if we can stoke the racial tensions a little bit more. Now we go back and, we had the Civil Rights Act in 1964, and it took a generation, pretty much one generation to get the N-word out of the vernacular of the American public, and it became a slur rather than a common figure of speech. And things got pretty good, I'd say, from my experience from, age 20, which was 1986, through, age 42, 2008, 20 years. Race relations in the United States seemed to be pretty good, I'd say. And then we had the biggest disaster ever to occur in the United States, and that was the election of Barack Obama. And I will say this with 100% conviction, that the biggest mistake, that every problem that we are dealing with in this country right now can all go back to patient zero, and that's Barack Obama. The economy in shambles, Barack Obama. Race relations, racism, Barack Obama. Crime, Barack Obama. Pick one, okay? We had 2 terms of his nightmare, and then, of course, we had Joe Biden, which was Barack Obama's 3rd term. I don't care who wants to say whatever. Joe Biden did not make a single decision in the White House. Barry told him everything to do. When's the last time you had ever seen a president, a former president, buy a house blocks from the White House? Why? Because he was still influencing all the decisions. Joe Biden was a puppet. We all know that. The guy hasn't had 2 brain cells to put a cognitive thought together in his entire career, basically, but at least in 25 years, okay? Auto pen Joe, right? Barry said to do it, do it. Okay, that was it. But the Democrats are hell-bent on stoking racial tensions. They love to see all this mostly peaceful protest crap. In other words, riots, okay? And every time one gets shut down, they try to do something else. Well, they're running out of issues. You had all the Columbia protests, and a federal court judge said they can go ahead with deporting the man who's been a college student for 12 years for his stoking racial tensions protests. We've had a judge in Milwaukee, now federally indicted, who's claiming that she has judicial privilege, right? Because she was letting this guy go in her official duties. Got it. Nice try to twist the law. That one ain't gonna work. Okay. But no. This came out overnight, and this will tell you the desperation that the Democrats have. And ironically, it's by one of our candidates in the last election who is fueling the fire. Okay. News came out overnight Channel 5 Eyewitness News in Minneapolis, that Governor Tim Walz, remember, former vice presidential candidate, Tampon Tim, okay, he, the Minnesota National Guard, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry, and Hennepin County Sheriff DeWanna Witt have all been briefed to make preparations for civil unrest because somebody got a wild hair up their ass thinking that Donald Trump is going to pardon Derek Chauvin. Remember, the guy that was criminally convicted. I don't mean he's the criminal. I mean the prosecution was the criminal. Criminally convicted of killing George Floyd, where well beyond a reasonable doubt, it's been proven that he didn't do it, that George Floyd died of a fentanyl overdose. But hey, you know what? Derek Chauvin and his three fellow cops were the scapegoat, the deal to rally the troops, if you will, to get people to vote for Democrats. That was the idea. Didn't work, okay? Because, newsflash, Democrats, you still have another 3 years and 8 months as Donald Trump is your president. And after that, at this point, I'd say either J.D. Vance or Ron DeSantis will probably be carrying that title for another 8 years. So, bye-bye. It's funny because the last time Trump was asked specifically about pardoning Derek Chauvin, Trump's quote was, "No, I've not heard anything about that." Could that be a change? You know, we all know Trump doesn't lay all his cards on the table at the beginning of the game. Could he be doing it? Possibly. Now, the Minnesota National Guard is supposed to prepare for riots. Okay, we know those will spread to, Portland and St. Louis and Detroit and Chicago, like they did last time. Okay, and probably many other cities, big and small. But give you this. This is how they are trying to stoke this. Derek Chauvin is currently serving a federal prison term in a Texas prison. He's not going to see the light of day for a long time unless justice is actually served. If Trump did pardon him, which a lot on the right are trying to pressure him to do, it really means nothing because Derek Chauvin also has a criminal conviction in Minnesota where he owes the state 22 and a half years. So even if Trump pardoned him and he was released from Texas prison, Minnesota has already said they will be waiting at the gates to take him into custody and put him back in a prison in Minnesota to serve out his sentence there. Okay. So, immaterial whether he gets pardoned or not, he's still going to be in jail because Trump has no authority whatsoever to pardon him from the state conviction. Okay? I want you to understand that. So even if he got out of the Texas prison, do not pass go, do not collect $200, you are going straight to a Minnesota jail. Even though you should be on the street and all these idiotic statues and murals should be destroyed. No, that's not what Tim Walz, the state of Minnesota, the liberals, the grasping at straws, we have nothing else to talk about party is doing. You know what? We need to go back to our old standby. Racism, racism, racism. I'm sorry, but that term doesn't hold any weight anymore. Call us racists all you want. I don't care anymore, okay? Doesn't make a difference. I'll say what I've said a million times over my entire life. You're a good person, I'll shake your hand and befriend you. You're a piece of shit, I won't. Okay? I don't care what your skin color is. There's plenty of good black people I've known in my life. There's plenty of bad ones. There's plenty of good white people I've known in my life. There's plenty of bad ones. Okay? No question. Content of character versus color of skin. Ring a bell? Okay. But that doesn't work for the Democrats. No. They're trying to stoke racial tensions. They're trying to entice their constituents to burn down cities again. Doesn't matter that you're the governor, you're the mayor, you're the sheriff. No, we need to get the National Guard in here and make an appearance that we are trying to protect the city. All at the time, they're basically saying, come on, guys, burn it down again. Let's show what Trump's America looks like. That ain't Trump's America. That's Tim Wells's Minnesota. That's what it is. The deal is, if you live in Minneapolis, St. Paul, St. Louis, Chicago, Detroit, Portland, Los Angeles, Houston, pick a city. Okay. This is what they are trying to do. They are trying to stoke the racial tensions. I've said it for a couple of years, is that we will have civil war one of two ways. It's either going to be black versus white or red versus blue. One of the two. And the Democrats are pushing for it. Big time. They are trying. How many comments have you heard about we need to overthrow this government? Overthrow the Trump administration. They are getting more and more and more violent. And now you have their leadership stoking the flames. Telling people, basically, it's okay to do it. Take a look at Columbia. University of, okay? Take a look at what happened in Newark. They are becoming the party of the criminals. They used to be, remember how Democrats used to be called the party of the working class? Now they're the party of the criminal class. That's a scary thought. That's the summer that we have to look forward to if this goes on. Don't think this is going to be the last thing. They want to get criminals and rapists out of jail. They want to release them on the street. They want to start problems. It just goes back to one of those things that we were all taught when we were kids, especially the guys. Don't ever start a fight, but always finish one. We're getting closer and closer and closer, guys, to we're going to have to finish this. One way or another, the liberal, progressive, Democrat, socialist, communist, fascist party has to disappear from this country. They are a cancer. We've tried a Band-Aid solution for decades. It didn't work. It's time to do the liberalectomy and get rid of the problem once and for all. Pinball out.